Hey, what's going on, Game Master here, and welcome back to more Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. For the last episode, we completed Kingdom Valley and 3 town missions, and I even got an S rank on the town mission, which I have never gotten an S rank on up until this point. And oh, that's a wonderful way to start this video off. Yeah, I'm convinced that when I remember in the first episode when I said the buggy is the easiest to control, I'm gonna double back on that. Oh great. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the glider is the easiest one to control. Hovercraft, well, hovercraft is the easiest to control. Sorry, no. Glider and hovercraft are both pretty easy to control. That doesn't mean the hovercraft sections are spectacular. The motorcycle, which we haven't encountered yet, but we will encounter it pretty soon, is not that great. The buggy, I think the name speaks for itself. It can be buggy at times, in case I needed to spell the joke out. And also, I don't think they actually expect you to, well, actually no. I think they do expect you to get this buggy all the way through the section, but it doesn't work. At least I have never been able to actually get the freaking buggy through this section in one piece. Although I think that might be one of the longest lengths of which the buggy has been alive. So, you know, who knows? Maybe we are making progress. And can I land? Okay, good. I landed on the grind wheel. Wait, is this gonna take me to a silver medal? Almost did. It almost did. Because I know where most of the silver medals are, but at the same time, I'm not always super. Whenever I play the game, I'm usually not hyper aware of them, just because they're just so ingrained into my memory. And I don't have to be careful not to get them for the sake of video, so it's a thing that I'm working on for this walkthrough. Also, I didn't really talk about it much in that opening section, but this is probably my least favorite part of Shadow's story, because in case you didn't figure it out, because Shadow was accompanying Sonic for the Crisis City and Flame Core portion of Sonic's story. We are basically just playing through the... Oh, I was terrible at that. Okay, I missed the rainbow ring. And I took damage, which is... None of this was part of my plan, but we're going to have to roll with it now anyway. Yes, I'm definitely not going to get an S ring now that I've gone and missed the rainbow ring. Unless I die in this section, then I have to replay it over again. But even then, I still won't get the S ring just because, you know, I died. But because Shadow was with Sonic, we're basically just going to be playing through Crisis City and Flame Core again. The exact same stages, except as Shadow. For the most part, the stages that you play as are at least a little bit different from each other between the stories. But Crisis City and Flame Core are almost exactly the same. The closest thing to forgot that was a thing. The closest difference I can think of is the buggy section, and then there's one more section that just isn't in Sonic's story at all. And actually, wait, I think I might have to pull some gypsy magic here. There we are. Because, like I said, for the most part, the stages are different from each other between the stories. But this Crisis City Flame Core section is just not at all. Oh, and also we have to fight Iblis again. And the difference between Iblis and Crisis City and Flame Core is that while there are minor differences between Flame Core, Crisis City, etc., between characters, Iblis is exactly the freaking same. There are no alterations whatsoever made to that boss battle between characters. So yeah, this is basically the exact same thing we played through as Sonic, except we're playing as Shadow now. So this is probably my least. I mean, I really like most of Shadow's story because it's different. He tells his own story. In fact, one of the stages two of the stages that we play as. Well, okay, most of the stages, but 2 in particular that I can think of are very, very different from when we played them as Sonic, and they're probably my 2 favorite for Shadow's story. I'd have to. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens when we play through this again for the sake of the walkthrough. But I can tell you right now that my least favorite my least favorite set of stages is definitely Crisis City and Flame Core. Probably just because it's, you know, the same thing as Sonic's story, and I would probably still say the same thing if we played Shadow's story before Sonic's story. If only because I liked Sonic's gameplay better, so even if I played them in the reverse order, I would still like Sonic's version of this. Well, I prefer it much more. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm not the biggest fan of this section in Shadow's story. There's some difference, obviously. Like, for instance, in this section we get to use the glider, which is fun. I like the glider a lot. And then in the first section we got to use the armed buggy, which is fun. But, like, the second phase was exactly the freaking same as it was in Sonic's story. And then, sure, we get an entirely new phase in, after this, because obviously Shadow doesn't have Mach Speed sections. But they just feel really, like, almost copy and pasted between stories. Okay, here's the new fourth section. This is a section that we haven't been to yet. This is completely new. Unlike sections 1 and 3, which are just the same as what Sonic went through, except you have a vehicle. This is actually just completely different from what we saw in Sonic's playthrough. We haven't seen any of this before, although this is a scene in Crisis City that we're gonna see a lot more of, because we're also gonna play through this setting as Silver, spoiler alert. So that's interesting. Oh, I honestly forgot you could use the buggy in this section. Probably because I seem to remember. Actually, you know what? I think I remember why. Because I don't use it. Because I seem to remember also that I need to be able to do this, and that's just not a thing that you can do in the buggy. So that might be a reminder as to why I never used the buggy, or why I forgot there was a buggy in that section, because I never use it. Interesting. Anyway, checkpoint, and more enemies. Yeah, like I said previously. Oh, I did not mean to skip those guys, but I did. And there's nothing for me to homing attack onto, so I'm guessing that I need to take these guys out first. I don't know Shadow and Silver's story as much as well as I do Sonic's story, which is interesting. When I say I've played the game for 4 years, it does mean I've played through the game 100% all for that length of time. I guess it's just because Sonic's story is more memorable, or maybe just because I don't know. There's some stuff that I remember really well from the stories, and those are the things I think that stand out the most. The things that aren't copy and pasted, I think, if I'm making any sense whatsoever, which I don't know. I don't think I am. Anyway. In fact, you know what? I think when I played through Sonic Generations, I seem to remember making a comment like, this section reminds me of Silver's section in Crisis City in Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Because that fall / winter when I played through Sonic Generations, I was also playing through Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 for the first time, so I was bound to make that parallel. And obviously at the time I knew that it wasn't great, reviewed all that well, but I didn't think it was anywhere near the hate bandwagon that it actually is. Then again, now I also know that for the most part there are valid criticisms of this game, and I don't think anyone can deny them. But a lot of what I see about this game honestly feels like it's kind of harbored / manufactured solely because, hey, other people don't like this game. That must mean it's a popular thing to hate this game. Maybe I should hate this game. Like I said, there are valid criticisms of it. There are people who just genuinely dislike it. But there are some people who just follow things that other YouTubers do. Cough, cough, ham. And I think that certainly doesn't help the problem. I'll save those thoughts. I'm getting a little too into the hate bandwagon thing right now. I want to save most of my thoughts on that for the final credits. Anyway, hey, we S-ranked Crisis City. I wasn't even paying attention to it. And next up is Flame Core.
Ah, my precious Chaos Emerald. You are also beautiful. Your mysterious brilliance. Omega? What's he doing here?
It seems he's in standby mode.
What could have possibly happened to create this future? Yes, this is Rouge. Understood. We'll be there in a minute. It looks like Sonic and his friends have found something, too. Let's go. It's not like we can do anything for him now.
Yeah.
You guys are so slow. Look.
A Chaos Emerald! You've already found one!
Well now, I may not look it, but I'm a real treasure hunter. Unlike a certain echidna I know.
What? Heh. Have you guys discovered anything?
Yeah. I received a signal indicating there's a Chaos Emerald here, but...
You mean we've got to go through there?
If you don't like it, you can stay here.
You've got to be kidding.
Don't be late. Same to you.
Okay, Flame Core Shadow. Even more similar to Sonic's version. Actually, wait, does the same logic still apply where I can... Hold on. Let me get rid of you first and then do this. Okay, no, it doesn't. Oh, can we go back so I can hit this? Thank you. I tried... Oh, wait, I'm in the middle boost round. Maybe I'm going to get the silver medal. Shoot. That's...
The crust's energy is out of control.
Oh, no, I missed it. Oh, that's awesome. That is actually awesome. That means that I don't have to use stock footage. Okay. Anyway, yeah, Flame Core as Shadow is even more similar to Sonic's version than Crisis City was. Thanks, Shadow. You're amazing. So I guess I can talk about something that I did not even a little bit expect to happen, but it did, and it's awesome. Yes, Shadow. Yes, I can. So, I don't know how many... Oh, I forgot that monsters can apparate out of freaking nowhere. Okay, that's me dead. You know what? Thanks, Shadow. So, I don't know how many of you, if any of you, read Stuart Gibbs' books. He's a freaking phenomenal author. He's absolutely my favorite. His most recent novel, I'll be frank, I was a little disappointed, if only this... I'm not going to say any spoilers, but it's... Okay, we're going to avoid you this time, thank you. I don't know, I just felt like there was too much meandering. Like, previously in the series, there was a lot of moments that really mattered. I feel like the whole time they were spent actively trying to pursue a goal to stop the bad guys. But this time, it felt like most of the time was spent just kind of doing whatever the heck they wanted, and it didn't feel like anything was really at stake until the final 2 chapters, and the whole time was spent... There was a lot of focus on romance, which some of it was fine, but there was... It just felt... I don't know, it just didn't feel like it belonged in the same series to me. It was weird. And honestly, you know what? If I had to pick a reason why, I really feel like I would attribute it to the fact that it felt a lot like a setup for the next book, rather than a book that could stand on its own merits. But maybe that's just I would say maybe it's just me, but it also seems like a lot of people like on his website and blog posts and stuff seem to be agreeing with me in the sense that it was not really what they were expecting and it was a little underwhelming. So I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in that. Probably not. But anyway, that's besides the point. What's really exciting is that the first book in this series is getting is supposed to be getting adapted into a movie, which is great news that I did not at all expect to receive this month. Now, of course, it's old news at this point, just because it happened. As of the day I'm recording this, that news came out a day prior to this recording. So, you know, take that as for what you will. But still, something I did not at all expect to hear, and it legitimately made me smile from ear to ear when I heard it, or when I read the news. Now, again, nothing's set in stone. It's technically, it's not even in it's in pre-production, if you will. Still in very early planning stages. Just basically the contract has been signed, from what I can discern. There hasn't been any actual, anything really that's been set in stone as far as production-wise. It's still a deal right now, and that's it. But what excites me is, for one, this book, Spy School, was the book that really started to get me into reading, like, a lot. I started, after I read this book, I marathoned all of his books, and then I started reading a lot of other books, and it was, he's the reason why I love reading so much today, and I attribute my passion to him and him alone. Him and Dan Gutman, I'd say. Dan Gutman for more when I was younger, but he really just, he appeals to all ages as far as I'm concerned, and that's something that not everybody can pull off. But what else was I gonna say? Yeah, and now I know what you're thinking. It could be as certifiably garbage as the Divergent movie. We don't talk about that. That was, oh boy, that was the purest form of hot trash. The reason I'm not concerned is because he is going to write the screenplay. If this does pan out, which I really, really freaking hope that it does, then he would be the one to write the screenplay, which is the best news, because I trust the author. I trust the author of the story, who also used to write screenplays, a heck of a lot more than I would someone who was just contracted to write the screenplay for a story that they don't fundamentally understand all that well. That's the reason why so many book-to-movie adaptations go south, is because the people they put in charge of adapting it don't really understand the source material as well as they should. What else did I want to talk about? Yeah, so if you like mystery books, or just if you like reading in general, I highly recommend that you check out, how would I recommend you start? Honestly, I'd probably recommend that you buy the Astronaut, Spies, and Hippopotami collection, because that would give you a taste of all of his different series. Now, one of those series is not active anymore. Oh, that was the most last-second freaking avoidance that you will ever see from me. I just panicked and I completely avoid. That was... Okay, you know what? We don't talk about it. Anyway. I would recommend you start with the Astronaut, Spy, Hippopotami, because that gives you a taste of all of his series, or all three of the main series, those being Spy School, Fun Jungle, and Moonbase Alpha. Now, he's not writing any more books for Moonbase Alpha, because that was... It's a trilogy. It wasn't meant to be a trilogy, obviously. Or not obviously, but... The reason why he isn't writing anymore, he said, is because there isn't a whole lot of ideas that you can come up with when you're limited to the moon, which isn't that interesting of a I mean, the moon is a very, like, the world he created, once you can swallow the fact that the humans have colonized the moon, like, he put a lot of time into making sure that everything in that series was very scientifically accurate, and I have a mad respect for the fact that he did that. I think he even interviewed an astronaut, like an ex-astronaut, who has actually been in space, just to get all the facts right, which is amazing. Just the amount of detail he puts in the research of his books is awesome. However, because beyond the confines of the moon base, there isn't a whole lot of places they can go without being sucked up, or not being sucked up, but oh, we're playing as Rouge. Honestly, forgot we played as Rouge in this mission, mainly because this level is not all that memorable when you don't play it. When you play it again in basically the same format as before. Anyway, so you're not. If you do. I'd feel sad if you end up liking that series the most, just because the first one's the best. The second one was nowhere near as good as the first, and the third one is only good because of the just like with the Toy Story franchise, and to some extent the Indiana Jones. The third one is only the best because the first one exists. Like with Toy Story 3, the reason why it's so amazing is because it has the first movie to back it up. And that's why you get such an emotional reaction, which makes it the best. Same thing with the third book of Moonbase Alpha. It's a really emotional ending, and it really ties up a lot of loose ends. But it only does that because the first book exists. So judge that as you will. But the other series are still ongoing to this day, and they're both phenomenal. I honestly couldn't pick a favorite. If I had to overall, if you asked me a year ago, I probably would have said Spy School. But I don't. If the most recent book is any telling of the direction it's going to take, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go from there. I'm hoping, honestly, that I'm just correct in that it's going to be a setup for the next book, and that that the next book's just going to blow everybody completely away. But whereas the Fun Jungle series, the first book was good, wasn't anything. It was nothing compared to Spy School's first book, but it got better with each installment. Poach was better than Belly Up, Big Game was better than Poach, and Pandemonium was leagues better than everything else. and I'm expecting great things from Lying Down, which probably means I'll be disappointed. You know, that's a me thing. So I recommend you start with that collection, and then he's announcing a new series. Actually, I'll talk about that when we go fight Iblis again.
I found a Chaos Emerald.
Don't touch it!
What? What's this?
I'll take care of this guy.
Iblis is fought the exact same way he was previously. You just jump out into the water, you take a hit, you grab more rings, and then you attack the purple thing. Anyway, so because... Oh, that was bad. So because Moonbase Alpha was finished with the 3rd book, he's making a new series, which, as of the date of this recording, I know nothing about, and we're waiting for the announcement currently as to what it's going to be all about. I honestly don't even know how I would kind of guess it, because he writes based off things that he likes. He likes spy stories. He loves it, and I'm if you follow my Twitter, you know every time some kind of animal-related story that I think he might find interesting comes up, I tweet him, and usually he either responds or at least likes it. And one time I think there was actually a hippo named Henry who passed away, and I'm like, this is tragic, but it's too much of a coincidence for me not to share with him if he doesn't already know about it. Anyway, what was I on about? Oh yeah. And then he also is passionate about space travel. We don't know a whole lot about his other passions. So, I mean, because I remember him saying if everyone wrote about what they knew, we would only have series about high school and middle school, which is correct. If everybody only wrote about the things they knew, that would be the case in the literature world. But because people write about things they're passionate about, we have such a wide degree, or a wide array of stories to choose from, which is amazing. So it's a complete guessing. There's no way for me to guess what it could possibly be. So I mean, at the time this video comes out, the announcement will probably have already been made. But as of recording, like I said, there's no surefire way to know what it is, and we're still waiting on the announcement. And also, I think there's only 1 hit left to go, so I'm just gonna play the ring collecting game. Oh, he's gonna hit me with fireballs. Yep, knew it was coming. Didn't bother to it. Oh, okay, you can't do that to me, game. That was almost real bad. But yeah, he's just an awesome author. I highly recommend you check him out. If you are passionate reading, if you're passionate about reading, and if you even if you haven't read a whole lot of mystery books, just check him out. He's an awesome writer, and I'm very, very much looking forward to everything he writes in the future. Yeah, shut up, Rich. This conversation has been able to carry us throughout all of Flame Core and Iblis, and fortunately, as soon as I do this, or that happens, we're done with this. Am I gonna die? I'm gonna die. Okay. I honestly thought I was gonna die there because I teleported inside of him. I'm probably not gonna get S rank, that I can assure you, because I didn't get any rings for that entire because I lost all my rings. That I can assure you, but honestly, probably the only reason why I was talking about Stuart Gibbs at all is just because there isn't really a whole lot interesting for me to say mid-level. Oh, we actually did get an S rank. Cool. Because we've already been through all of it before. There's nothing new for me to talk about. And is that it? Yep. S rank on Crisis City, Flame Core, and Iblis. Alright, now, I'm pretty sure after this, it is a cutscene and it launches us straight into the next level. And I want to start off the next video with that level. I would do it now, except that we're almost at 30 minutes, and I want to save that for the next episode. So, I'm going to end the video, and then the cutscene's going to play, and then the video will end. Me ending the video and the video ending are two different things, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. So, I would like to thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode, and it's been a game. As you can see, signing off, saying who'll be with Fitness Gold Day, and now because for some more Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Goodbye.
Chaos control!
Shadow. Shadow. Shadow? And he doesn't have a Chaos Emerald anymore.
Agent Rouge, report your status immediately. Have you retrieved the Book of Darkness?
Well, I'll provide a full report shortly. Right now, I have a priority situation to deal with. I need to contact E123 Omega immediately.